And even though we've learned a lot more about the brain science since then, most of what we wrote about in 1995 is absolutely relevant today. The only difference is it's happening faster and faster. So what's the answer? There are 8 accelerators that you should be looking to implement and work on if you're trying to lead changing cultures. This is something that we would typically spend a couple of days on, right? So we're not going to spend a couple of days on that now. Instead, I want to focus on 1 or 2 areas, and I want to start at the middle. Why is starting with an opportunity important? It's important because I'm going to get the thrive emotions going as opposed to the survive emotions going. That's why I'm going after an opportunity. So whatever it is you're trying to do, sometimes you've got to do it because the regulators here in Colombia, the regulators told you you've got 5 years. Right? So you've got to do it. But instead of saying, we've got 5 years and if we don't do it, we're going to be in trouble, what you could say instead is, we've got 5 years to become even better. We've got 5 years to upscale and upgrade and do what we need to do and turn around how we do what we do today. And get people to want to take a role in that opportunity, as opposed to being scared by the threat of a countdown clock that's happening. So, the first thing you want to do is make sure we talk about it from the viewpoint of an opportunity. The second one is just as important, and it's this idea here, create a sense of urgency. What urgency means is people who understand that this is important and who want to make it successful. And they're going to work hard to do that. That's what urgency is. Remember, culture change is about changing behaviors, the attributes, and those values, right? If you want people to change behavior, the best way to do it is you get them to see the opportunity and to get them to start doing something small every day. And then you start recognizing that behavior, because remember, no one wants to say that X is not equal to A. So if you have somebody who is actually stepping out and doing things differently, you absolutely want to go and start talking about the wins. You want to say, well done. Well done, Russell, for doing that little thing that was different today. It was a change in your behavior. And if everybody does that, then we're going to start getting this happen more and more and more. At Cotter, we measure this. We measure this sense of urgency. And we believe that there is a tipping point that happens. And it's when you've got more than half of your organization who wants to be involved in this. And wants to is important. Not have to, but want to. Your challenge then is to create with the opportunity an invitation for people to get involved. That's what it is. I started my career in mining. I was doing gold mining in South Africa and Zimbabwe. And then I moved over to process engineering, and I worked in paper mills and aluminum factories and rubber plants. And every time we did something new, we rolled it out and we told people what to do. But think about the image of a rollout. Like, it's rolling, it's coming. I don't care whether you want it or not, it's coming. And it took me a long time to understand why people didn't like that. No one likes being told what to do. It's way better if you get me to want to do it. Correct? How many of you do something because you're told to do it, and you do it with passion and heart, versus you do it because you want to do it? Most of us will do the things we want to do. And the challenge is to talk about whether it's, I know we were talking yesterday and the day before about ISO 55000. If it's ISO 55000, how do we make it an invitation for people to get involved in? Instead of saying, it's coming, get ready. And people are like, well, where can I go and how can I hide and get out of the way? No, it's coming, like, get involved. That's the best thing you can do. Unfortunately, though, most of the way we talk about this is we talk about it, we're very, what I call rational or head-based, which you would think makes sense because that's where our brain is. But do you know which organ impacts our brain the most? The heart. So what we ought to be doing is we ought to be appealing to people's hearts, because that's going to impact the brain, and the brain will be what changes the behavior. So don't give me data and statistics about how great ISO 55000 is. I'm sure it is, because a lot of time's been spent on it. Tell me why I should care. Tell me how it's going to make our company better. Tell me how it's going to make us more efficient, to save money so that we can kind of keep building jobs and keep growing up. Tell me that story, because that's the story that's going to change my behavior. There's an interesting phenomenon back in 1962. A gentleman by the name of Roger came up with this concept that is probably one of the most important in social science. And it talks about the law of diffusion of ideas and innovation and concepts over time. Right? And what he talks about is the fact that you're going to have, when you start something, you're going to have a few people who are really, really excited. So when Apple comes out with a new phone, how many of you line up outside the store the night before to get the phone? Any of you? Okay, with one. Thank you for being brave. Two. Okay, well that's probably almost 2%. Right? There's people who want to be there at the edge. Then there are some people who say, you know what? I'm going to wait for the bugs to work out. I'm going to wait to make sure it's actually a good phone, but I'm going to get it 3 days later when the reviews are up and people are saying it is. And once that's happened, how many of you in that group, you kind of wait a few days because you're not going to be the sucker the first day, but you'll be there after day 3. How many of you in that group? Okay, a few more people. And then you get everybody else who goes, okay, this is a good thing now. Like, it hasn't blown up in people's heads, and it's working, and there's no security issue. Okay, I'm going to come on board with that. Like, I'll do that now. Yeah. And then a few people will stop trailing off and going, all right, I'm late to the party. I'm not going to spend the money. I'll wait for my upgrade to come and whatever else. And importantly, there's some people who might never get there. My mom still has a flip phone. I said to her, Mom, do you want an Apple phone? Do you want an iPhone? She said, what do I want an iPhone for? It's like, why don't you want an iPhone? Or why do I need an iPhone? I just talk. So she's never going to get a phone. But she's happy, right? Now, this is a social science model, but it applies to what we do at work as well. Because when we roll something out, the expectation is that everybody's got it. So you go from 0 to 100. But that's not how it works. That's not how it works. If you think about any social technology, social media, that kind of thing, it's over time that people adopt it. The network effect grows and grows and grows. So if you want to get culture change, you're going to find the people who are looking at that going, this is really cool. I like that. I want to be a part of that. I'm not scared of changing my behavior. And then they'll bring more people in. And you don't stop focusing on it until you get to here, because that's your critical mass. And after that, these people are like, we're in the minority, as opposed to we're in the majority pushing back. So I share that model with you because that's the model that we would approach all transformations with, and something that I encourage you to think about. How many of you know IKEA or, well, put up your hand, how many of you have been to IKEA or know IKEA? Okay, what's the address? What's the Home Center? Home Center. How many of you know Home Center? Okay, so IKEA make a bookcase, and it's called a Billy bookcase. How many of you have seen a Billy bookcase or built one? Okay, quite a few of you. Good. So if you made it with your wife, you're probably a lot closer, or maybe not. But these are the instructions. There's no words except Billy and IKEA. No words. And you look at this and you think, okay, how do I make this bookcase? I'll start here. Oh no, that's not number 1. Where's number 1? Okay. Oh, I'll start over there. Okay, stop there, and then go there, and then, no, then I'll go here. The point is, it's actually not easy to make this bookcase. And when you go to IKEA, this is what you see. It's like row upon row of bookcases and furniture stacked up, and you go and you put them on your cart, and you take them home and spend a lifetime building your furniture. But there's something that's interesting called the IKEA effect. This thing called the IKEA effect, which is that if you invest effort it increases the value of that product. So the bookcase may have cost you $70 or pesos. However, to you, it's worth 200. Yeah? Because you put the time in. And the point is you feel good about it. Why? This is psychology. This is psychology. Gentlemen, ladies, you feel positive about it, right? You feel competent. You accomplished something. It's like, yes, I can build this. Like, I'm good. You focus on the positive attributes. Now, what I will say is an IKEA bookshelf is not a high-end piece of furniture. But you focus on the fact that it is got positive attributes. Shelves that can hold, go up and down. It's sturdy, it looks good, you can paint it. You focus on what's good, not on what's bad. And the last thing is, it increases this relationship between effort and how you like it. Now, most of the time we think if we have to work hard for something, we won't like it. But that's not true. So my challenge is if you're thinking about whether it's, ISO 55000, can we make it like an IKEA bookcase? Can we get people to want to put their effort in because they feel competent, they see how it's positive for us, and even though we're going to have to work at it, we're going to like it, as opposed to we're going to have to work at it and hate it. So there's our challenge for you. I want to tell you a quick story and show you a video. This is a company we did some work with, and I want to make it real. I want to show you what real culture change looks like. This company went from private to public, and they wanted to increase their innovation. They made perfumes, beauty products. They're one of the big players in the beauty space. And the products they made were licensed from celebrities. So Lady Gaga came to them and said, I want you to make my perfume, but I want my perfume to be black in the bottle, but it can't spray on black. Yeah, it needs to be clear. So you've got to figure out how to do that. They needed to increase innovation because their timeline from innovation to market was typically about 18 months. Speed to market, and they had to improve their overall asset management efficiency across the globe. What did they achieve? Well, they listed on the New York Stock Exchange. They partnered with Berkshire Hathaway, which is Warren Buffett's company, to successfully go after a competitor. And they ultimately spent $12.5 billion to acquire 43 brands from Procter & Gamble. So this is a success story of what they were able to achieve. The video you're going to see is them creating the invitation around this transformation. People needed to work differently to increase innovation and speed to market. And the video you're about to see is how they did that.
Diseñero de la planta Coty Granollers de envasados de fragancia y estoy luchando para que el proyecto Coty Runner seamos cada vez más gente. ¿Os animáis?
Hi, I'm Joost Smits van Maasbergen from the Paris office. I volunteer to make change sustainable and not just a short-lived excitement.
Me llamo Cristóbal Bey Moreno, trabajo en Granollers como operario de soporte logístico y soy voluntario para los próximos proyectos que puedan venir.
Hola, soy Marta Rodríguez y yo Carla Romero. Trabajamos en Coty Granollers como ingenieras de procesos del área de fragancias y nos prestamos voluntarias para mejorar el proceso de grafado de todas las líneas.
Me llamo Marta Masferrer, trabajo en Coty Granollers como planner de Mastiche y estoy trabajando en un nuevo proyecto, un DMS, para mejorar servicio y reducir inventario.
Being able to do my job efficiently, quality and quantity go hand in glove on these lines.
Helping create a more robust training program for our GPWs so that they can be more involved on the line.
Luc Riquieri, technicien de Monaco. J'ai participé à une formation durant laquelle j'ai conçu un nouveau système de prévissage sur une ligne automatique.
Avant, j'étais régleur, maintenant je suis technicien du changement.
Daniel Moreau, Monaco, opératrice technique. Je participe au changement en utilisant le PC de fin de vie qui m'a simplifié la tâche administrative. Pour moi, c'est magique.
Pour moi aussi, c'est magique. J'ai une vision globale de l'atelier en temps réel et c'est un gain de temps phénoménal.
Marie-Paul Michel, PCD Beauty in Paris. I volunteer to create a new packaging process and anticipate the conceptions to win efficiency.
I'm Corinne Futegarel from PCD Paris for Prestige. I volunteer to develop strong partnerships with our packaging suppliers to get the best technical options at the best price.
Hello, I'm Gemma Rubio from Coty Granollers and I work in human resources. I volunteer for the Leading Bold Change initiative because I would like this to be a big success in Granollers and that we really take advantage of this initiative.
I'm Rachel Eisenberg from PCD in the New York office and I volunteer to work around the clock with China and Europe to ensure NYC launches and ships on time.
This is about what can we do and what's our contribution as individuals so we can succeed as a team.
I volunteer to eliminate hard and frustrating work on the receiving dock with a sense of urgency.
Urgency means to me, don't put off tomorrow, we can do today.
Urgency is rapid, focused action with the whole team putting